We've got a final score from Staples Center as the Lakers beat the Hornets 120-101. Anthony Davis led the way with 29 points, and LeBron was pretty quiet through the first three quarters, finished with 20 points and 12 assists. Dwight Howard added 16 and 10, and he's with Mike Trudell after the game.
All right, Dwight, just wondering, when you signed with the Lakers, did you anticipate having some moments early in the season like this as quickly as it has happened when you were able to come off the bench and help the team to a win as you did tonight?
I don't think about that. I just try to go in there and do my job. I know the first unit, they play extremely hard. So the second unit, we got to bring energy. We got to keep it going. So let's try to get in the game, fly around, get some rebounds, spot some shots. But I'm just glad we got a good win.
All right, 10 rebounds. You had the 4 block shots. The game seemed to switch around right at the end of the third quarter to start the fourth. You and Caruso, LeBron, the defense. What were you guys doing effectively there to push the lead?
Just energy. Moving the ball, running the floor, getting stops, talking to each other on defense. That's all we got to do. We continue to do that, we should win every night.
I've asked you about this pregame a couple of times, right? You're only able to play 9 games last year. You worked really hard to get your legs in the offseason. How do you feel physically at this point in trying to get back to where you were?
Trying to get better every game. I just continue to work night in and night out. Just stay in the gym, stay in the treatment room, stay in the cold plunge to keep my legs fresh. So I just do whatever I can to help this team win.
All right, last thing for you. You've been getting the crowd going after making some plays. What's that been like, just trying to get that energy in the building now?
Man, like I said, when we all together, when the fans, the team, and everybody together, there's nothing we can't accomplish.
Appreciate it, Dwight.
Yes, sir, thank you.
All right, guys, Dwight out.
Dwight emphasizing energy and defensive execution. Coach, are you surprised that he's made such an impact so early on?
No, because, look, if he's healthy and he's playing the way he's playing, and Frank Vogel is playing him right, he's only playing him about 17, 18 minutes a game. But look at his production tonight. 8 for 8 from the field, double-digit rebounds, 4 block shots. That's the Dwight Howard they need. If Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee just come out and play as hard as they can for the minutes they have, run, rebound, defend, just fly around and throw those big bodies around, it's really going to help the Lakers to wear down their opponents. But I'm happy for Dwight because had a tough season last year, missed a lot of games. He seems to be happy, and he is getting better for the Lakers.
Well, it's circumstances that I think brought Dwight Howard to kind of the conclusion of where he's at, of who I am as a player. The hardest thing to do, Sam, is to look in the mirror and be honest with yourself and recognize who you are, not who you used to be. Yeah. Okay, that's the hardest thing about a player. So coming into the season, you said, listen, now I can rewrite my legacy. If we're successful here with the Lakers and I come in and provide some kind of substance to what we're doing, I can rewrite what I'm doing. All I got to do is rebound, block shots, run the court, provide some leadership, be another body on the court. If we do that and successful, now I can go out the way I want to. So that's a lot of maturity right there, I think, for this young man.
Do you agree with him that energy and execution primarily on the defensive end is all that is holding this Lakers team back from being good and great?
Well, energy a lot of times overcomes maybe if you get caught on the wrong side of the table in regards to defensively. You can make up for it because the energy, the conversation, and effort is there. You're not always going to make shots, but you can always have energy on the defensive end.
Just think about it like this. Bad teams hang with good teams and beat them sometimes because they just play hard and play with energy.
Yeah.
Now, I used to say this all the time, but think about what happens when the good teams play with energy. It's a whole nother level. And so I think for the Lakers, the Clipper game was the best game for them the first night. It slapped them right in the face opening night to say, look, if we're going to be serious we've been talking about winning the championship, but if we're going to be serious, you see them guys, how they play? If we can't raise our level of play to that, because if we don't, we can't beat them. They've beaten us 24 out of the last 29 times. So I think for Frank Vogel, as hurt as he was after that first game, it was a blessing in disguise for the Lakers because they got a wake-up call after game 1.
Well, the highlights continue.
On the second half of a back-to-back, come back home and beat what has been the best team of the first 5 days. I know that sounds ridiculous, but the Clippers have looked great, and they've been anointed by some as the Western Conference champions already. This is a legit stepping stone for Phoenix.
No question, and because it's not just one night, it's 3 nights now, and we've seen it. And we've seen them now tonight beat that team without 2 of their starters. I mean, granted, the Clippers don't have Paul George, but they're without Ayton and Rubio. And again, the way they're doing it as a team. Yeah, Devin Booker had a big night tonight, but 32 assists.
Yeah.
This is not what we've seen out of Phoenix in the past. It's been a one-man show. It is no more.
Booker had 8 assists, and if you're going to have a one-man show, he's a pretty good one-man to have. He also had 30 points tonight.
He had 30 points, but once again, we talked about Monty earlier changing the culture, where now we know last year Devin Booker was maybe a volume shooter. Now he showed his leadership tonight by making sure he can go back to his old self, get points, but set things up for his teammates. So as we wrote a clip right here, tonight you showed, as the kids say, Matt, he got into his bag tonight. He's staying under control, used the screen perfectly for Baines so he doesn't get the offensive foul. You attack the defense. Now Michael Green is stuck. It's a wide open shot there for Saric. He knocks it down. No Rubio tonight, so now he has to be 0.2, 0.3, whatever it is. Just give him the ball. Now Montrezl Harrell sneaks in there. Now you got Frank the Tank, a wide open 3. So now he's 0.2 tonight, Stan. Now I'm going to look for my own. Defense shows up late. I get all the way to the basket. Now I'm feeling good about myself. Then in the fourth quarter, they put Kawhi on him. Once again, patience. Let that brush screen come so you don't get an offensive foul. Now you catch it, square up. Kawhi's a little slow getting to it, leave it, knock it down, feeling good about himself tonight.
You know, Kawhi Leonard played tonight, obviously, and played well for the most part, but he left the game with 4:15 to go in the fourth quarter with the Clippers down by a dozen, and then reappeared 2.5 minutes later, and it struck all of us as curious, to say the least, why Doc Rivers would take him out at that moment if there's no injury or anything to keep him on the bench, because he did return and wound up hitting a couple of threes late.
Yeah, I mean, now they did cut the lead while he was out.
It was in the middle of a run that they took him out too.
Yeah, it was a strange time, no question about it.
I mean, as a coach, can you imagine what circumstances might lead Doc to make that decision with his best player at that moment?
I don't have any idea. And again, it came at a break in the action. Possibly Kawhi said something to him. I mean, that's a possibility. Maybe he had tweaked something. Maybe he was tired.
Yeah.
And, you know, he took him out for a couple of minutes, but it is curious.
Yeah, it felt weird to all of us sitting here, Matt. And also to your point, as they're cutting that lead, I think Lou Williams hit a couple 3. Maybe Doc Rivers said, let me let this. You know, sometimes when the flow is going, you don't want to mess up the flow. You get your best player back in the game, but it did feel weird because of that 4 to 3.5 mark that we thought it should have been in the game.
Well, they were down 15. That was the biggest lead for Phoenix, so 115 to 100. The Clippers had already started to cut into that lead because they'd already, I think they hit a 3 to cut it to 12, and then he came out.
Yeah.
And then he reemerged with them down by 9.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it was just strange, and maybe we'll hear more from him a little later on. But huge win for the Phoenix Suns. Again, without DeAndre Ayton on the floor, he is suspended. Without Ricky Rubio, who's banged up and was unavailable tonight. They're short big men across the board because of injuries, and somehow they're able to do this, and this is one of those culture-building deals.
It is, and the big men have played well now. So last night in Denver, Baines and Kaminsky combined for 34 and 18. Tonight they get 32 and 16 with 9 assists, the two of them. And as we saw on Dennis's clip on Devin Booker, Aaron Baines is the best screener in the NBA. It's not even close.
Yeah.
You saw tonight, Lou Williams picks up a flagrant foul, getting frustrated with him. They foul Baines, late in the game. Guys get frustrated because he sets the screen every time, and you get tired of getting hit by a guy that strong.
Fun stuff for Phoenix and their fans after a long drought in terms of the playoffs and in terms of hope in some years as well. Good to see them thriving here early in the season, now 2-1 on the year. More on that game and the rest of the night around the NBA. The Suns win at 130 to 122. Game time presented. It was not Booker's 68th career 30-point game. It was his 64th. His 68th will come in like 3 weeks.
Yes, exactly. Right.
Something like that.
Yes.
But it's his 5th year in Phoenix now. Obviously, Monty Williams is the new head coach there. You're talking about culture changes, all the stuff that goes into turning a program around. How does Booker fit into that change, big picture?
Well, he's their best player. I mean, and it's time for him to play in some meaningful games, and it's time for him to take some leadership, which means not just score, but play the way we're supposed to play, which he's doing, and put out a better effort at the defensive end, which he's also doing.
Yeah, the defense is getting better, decision making is getting better, but when Rubio went down there, you can tell how that feel that Monty Williams said, you know what, I'm going to put the ball back in your hands. And tonight he showed how to get into his own spot, but being patient. And I think coming off a lot of those pin downs and pick and rolls, he was in a good space tonight.
And it's contagious. I mean, he had 8 assists tonight. They had 32. That's their second 30-assist game. you know, this team's playing together and they're defending harder. Two things we haven't seen in the past.
3D, I believe you brought video to the set.
Yes, and this
So
video,
talk about